Hello, friends and participants. Uh, Good evening to all of you. Uh, Mizoram University Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat team, along with Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat team of Mahatma Gandhi Central University Bihar, jointly organizing the Quit India Movement webinar, and today's topic is Reinventing the Spirit of Quit India Movement. Today, in this webinar, we have Honorable Vice Chancellor Mizoram University, Professor K.R.A. Sambashiv as the chief guest. Our guest speakers are Professor K. Robin, Professor and Head, Department of History and Ethnography, Mizoram University, and Director, UGC, HRDC, Mizoram University. We have another guest speaker from our partner university, MGCU Bihar, Dr. Ambikesh Kumar Tripathi, who will be joining shortly. Along with me, I have Professor Rafiqul Islam, the nodal officer of MGCU, and the colleagues, and also in Mizoram University, the members of Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat team, who are also supporting, participating in this webinar. Today, this webinar is a part of series of activities under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat, being the flagship program of Ministry of Education, and with the active support of both the universities, authorities, faculty, research scholars, and the team members of Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat, we are organizing this meeting. And friends, let me tell you, when we talk about reinventing the spirit of Quit India movement, let me tell you that both our guest speakers, both of them are having different types of challenges. They have tried to overcome the challenges and they are here. Professor K. Robin, the first guest speaker from Mizoram University, he has undergone this eye operation recently, but still he told me that I will definitely participate. This is a national cause. And in the case of our partner university, Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Motihari, Bihar, the Chancellor, Professor Mahesh Sharma, is visiting their university, and all the faculty members are busy in that. So, taking few minutes from that very important meeting, Dr. Tripathi has told me that he will be joining. And before I could hand over the microphone to Professor Robin, the first speaker of today's webinar, let me tell briefly that today is a very important day in world history. In world history, we find that today is the International Day for the indigenous people. Today is the day of Nagasaki remembrance during Second World War, when the atom bomb fell for the second time, first time in Hiroshima on August 6 and on Nagasaki on 9th August. And not the least, today is the remembrance of Quit India movement. Details our honorable guest speaker will tell, but little bit before I could talk about all these activities, little bit of the background. Let me share a small anecdote with all of you. It was August 8, the Gwala Maidan in Bombay, today's Azad Kranti Maidan in Mumbai. There is a big meeting, gathering. Mahatma Gandhi gave the clarion call, Quit India. Indians, do or die. That means Do means try to get the British out of India or die in the process for that cause. And from that stage, Gandhiji gave some cheats, little bit of papers to young freedom fighters. One of them was late lamented Surendranath Dwivedi, who went on to become MP Lok Sabha, MP Rajya Sabha, leader of PSP in the parliament, then governor of Arunachal Pradesh, and he got one of the cheats by Mahatma Gandhi. And Dwivedi told me once in a meeting that cheat by Gandhiji told one thing, that go underground and continue the movement. And these few words changed his life and the lives of millions of people. And the rest is history. You know that how next day, 9th August, Quit India movement became one of the most significant people's movements in world history, almost led by the people themselves. And today, when we remember Quit India movement, we will listen to our guest speakers that how this Quit India movement, the memory, the spirit can be reinvented. With these few words, I welcome all our guests and all the participants to this webinar. And now I request Professor Robin, the first speaker or first guest speaker, to unmute and show the video and start. Professor Robin, please.
Thank you so much, respected Chairperson, Professor Srinibas Pathi, Convener, MGCU, a Bharat Shreshtha Bharat team. At the outset, I would like to convey my heartfelt thanks to the coordinator for giving me this opportunity to speak on a very, very important theme uh, relating to the Quit India movement, which happened in Indian history many, many years ago. Uh, the today's topic, as our chairman has mentioned, is reinventing the spirit of Quit India movement. Reinventing the spirit of Quit India movement. My sincere thanks to the chairperson, Professor Srinivas Pathi, once again, and honorable chief guest, Professor KRS Sambashiv, our honorable chief guest, the Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Professor KRS Sambashiv,
Yeah, we welcome
my,
Professor Rao. Yeah, our
yeah,
Honorable VC.
our honorable VC. My sincere gratitude to fellow colleagues, Mizoram University and Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Bihar, my speaker, and ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege to speak on this very, very important theme, reinventing the spirit of Quit India movement. Uh, the outbreak of the Second World War brought about a new turn in India's struggle for independence. The Second World War was a very, very significant in Indian history because it completely transformed, changed the tempo and nature of India's national freedom struggle. By then, Gandhi was very much uh, hell bent on driving out the British from the country. Gandhi asked for complete British withdrawal from India. Gandhi even strongly argued that it was the British Raj, it was the British rule uh, that immersed India into the war. It was the British rule that dragged unnecessarily the Indians and brought face to face with the Japanese aggression. Gandhi was of the view that the only solution was to free India from the British rule, from the British yoke, from the British clutches. In the meanwhile, our chairman had made a passing reference in his introductory remark. The chairman, Prof. Srinibas Pathi, has made a passing reference on on uh, 8th August 1942. The All India Congress Committee was convened. This was a historic meeting. Uh, in this historic meeting, the Quit India resolution was approved. I feel that it is very much important for us, all of us, to go back to history and briefly recapitulate or understand the entire historical event that unfolded beginning from 8 August 1942. When the Bombay meeting of the All India Congress approved the Quit India resolution, it was sanctioned, I quote, for the vindication of India's inalienable right to freedom and independence, the starting of a mass struggle on non-violent lines and on the widest possible scale, so that the country might utilize all the non-violent struggle that it has gathered during the last 22 years of peaceful struggle. Close quote. Now, following this August resolution, it may be noted that Gandhi made a historic speech. Gandhi made a very, very historic, memorable speech. I quote, I therefore want freedom immediately, this very night, before dawn, if it can be had. I am not going to be satisfied with anything short of complete freedom. Here is a mantra, a short one that I give you. You may imprint in it on your hearts and let every breath of yours give expression to it. The mantra is do or die. We shall either free India or die in the attempt. We shall not live to see the perpetuation of our slavery. Close quotation. For Gandhi, this was the final battle. This was popularly understood as the August Revolution. It may be remembered that Gandhi demanded a complete withdrawal of the British from Indian soil. Gandhi argued that if this demand was not fulfilled, then Gandhi then was to launch a full-scale movement. But this movement, which Gandhi described, was to be a non-violent rebellion, a non-violent movement. What is the purpose of launching? What is the idea behind the launching of this movement? The idea was, the aim of this movement was to evoke and instill a spirit of, a sense of sacrifice for the motherland, to create awareness among all sections of the Indian society, and to sacrifice themselves for the liberation of the motherland, for the freedom of the country from the British Raj. This was the main agenda, the main aim behind the call for August Revolution, or the Quit India movement, the do or die slogan. Thus, it became very, very clear that India was now ready for an all out showdown with the British Raj. Gandhi was very much ready to give out his everything. Towards that end, he called his countrymen, his colleagues, his own people to support him, to follow him in his call for complete independence, for liberation of India from the British clutches. So India was now ready to wage a full-fledged showdown with the British Raj. However, unfortunately, things did not go well. On you know, on the morning of 9th August 1942, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Azad, and all other echelons of the leaders of the Congress were arrested. They were arrested under the banner of Defense of India Rules. They were arrested. No warrant, nothing, but simply, a draconian law was imposed and they were arrested by the British administration. The Congress was banned with all its branches, except in the Northwest Frontier Province. All other branches of the Indian National Congress was completely banned by the British Raj. Restrictions were imposed. Restriction on newspapers, journals, many other agents of articulation of Indian views, Indian ethos. All these were curtailed and banned by the British Raj. Having said that, and the fact that the nationalist leaders were arrested without any warrant whatsoever, the arrest of leaders spread like wildfire throughout the length and breadth of the country, as a result of which tensions mounted everywhere. Following this, hartals, processions, meetings took place all over the country. The police came down heavily upon the members, upon the protesters, upon the procession, the processionists. They were lathi charged, even open fired. Imagine the British administration. They were very ruthless in trying to suppress the movement. They opened fire to disperse the people. In due course, the movement took a violent turn. The movement became more and more violent. For this, I would like to quote the words of the British Viceroy, Lord Linlithgow. Lord Linlithgow, who was the Viceroy of, he termed the movement as, I quote, by far the most serious rebellion since 1857. Close quotation. Lord Linlithgow particularly noted that this movement, the August Revolution, the Quit India movement of 1942, was by far the most serious rebellion since the outbreak of 1857. He said, it was violent and totally uncontrolled for the simple reason because all the leaders of the Congress were arrested. The nationalist leaders were arrested the leaders were behind bars even before it began. So they became leaderless and was bound to be violent and uncontrollable. I would like to go back before the resolution was adopted. Let me go back to history. 5th August 1942, Gandhi had spoken very clearly about the movement, which he anticipated. Gandhi was rather ambivalent and articulated that, I quote, I do not ask from you my own non-violence. Gandhi said, I do not ask from you my own brand of non-violence. You can decide what you can do in this struggle. Close. You can decide what you can do in this struggle. Which means Gandhi was very, very much clear that he gave matters into the people's hand. I do not ask for your own, or I do not ask you my own non-violence. You can decide what you can do in this struggle. Again, Gandhi made a speech on 8th August. He said, I trust the whole of India today to launch upon a non-violent struggle. But he assured them that even if people deviated from this path of non-violence, he said, I shall not swear, which means I shall not drift away. I shall not flinch. Gandhi said, even if the people did not follow my own brand of non-violence, still I will not swear or I will not flinch. He was very, very clear. In other words, the call was, the issue of non-violence was of lesser importance than the call for do or die, or to make a final sacrifice for the liberation of the motherland. It is very, very clear. Gandhi was willing to sacrifice his entire life for the liberation of the country, and for that reason, he also trusts his own people that even if they deviated from the path of non-violence, he will not swear, he will not change, he will not abruptly call off the movement. He said, he will not abruptly call off the movement, he will not flinch, but he will go ahead. And unfortunately, they were arrested on the morning of 9th August 1942. I would like to point out that the movement may be broadly identified in three phases. Forgive me, I put on a black goggles because I had eye surgery. I cannot directly, expose my eyes, so I put on the black goggles. So please bear with me. I would like to note that the movement had may be identified in three broad phases. Firstly, it started as an urban revolt, marked by strikes, boycott, picketing, which was quickly suppressed. Secondly, the movement shifted from the urban centers to the interior, to the countryside. That means to the villages, to remote, far-flung areas, witnessing major peasant rebellion marked by destruction of communication system, railway lines and railway tracks, railway stations, telegraph wires and poles were destroyed, attacks on government buildings, and finally, they also decided to form a parallel or a national government. The leaders, the nationalist leaders, with the support of the people, decided to form a parallel government, which they call national government. This brought severe suppression, and the movement started to go underground. The third phase was marked by terrorist activities involving sabotage, even uh, uh, resorting to hardcore violence, dislocating communication system, propaganda activities, even clandestine, like what you call radio station. Radio was operated by, for example, Usa Mehta, if I'm not mistaken. So it actually uh, took a violent turn. Now, this I'm trying to recapitulate the courses and events of the 1942 August Revolution, Quit India movement. By then, the British Raj to learn, you know, a very, very important lesson. They have understood quite clear that their numbers were numbered, their days were numbered in India. They realized that it was difficult to tackle such a violent, a militant kind of mass movement. So they were aware of the fact that keeping India by force against such a mass movement, such an opposition would be very, very difficult to handle in the long run. And therefore, they were now left with no option but to have a negotiation with the Indian leaders. They were compelled to accept a negotiated settlement for a respectable solution. They were compelled because of this movement. So, in this regard, the Quit India movement definitely has, though they were arrested, the movement before it could even start, leaders were arrested. But however, the significant aspect of the Quit India movement was that it left a permanent imprint on India's road to freedom. It created a feeling of desire, feeling a higher level of sacrifice to the entire population. Now, the question is reinventing the Quit India movement in the context of contemporary period. What is the importance of this Quit India movement in today's contemporary period? This is the hallmark of today's webinar. Of course, I need to recapitulate that, which I had done it. But the fact of the matter is, what is the importance of celebrating or re-invoking 1942 movement? The question is how to remember the sacrifices of the nationalist leaders and how to invoke and implement their sacrifices in the contemporary context and times. The nationalist leaders tried to inculcate the spirit of nationalism among all sections of the society by teaching, educating them through various means. One of the most important mechanism was the call for Atma Sakti and Swadeshi. This was a bit to energize the body, the mind, and the soul, and of course, self-reliance. Initially, the focus was to fight social evils like casteism, social evils, child marriage, padda system, indulgence in alcohol, etc. But later on, it graduated to kind of a Swadeshi, a desire to start a Swadeshi enterprises. So many enterprises started to develop. And in this regard, education was the main emphasis in especially educating women and the destitutes. Swadeshi movement and Atma Shakti inspired millions and drew support from women and students, and they left a big, big legacy. Today, we need to once again invoke this principle. It is very, very crucial, very critical, very, very important to invoke this principle and lay emphasis on Swadeshi and Atma Shakti, education for all. We need to quit our bias against different caste, different sections of the society. In the 21st century, free India, new India, we need to quit the age-old inbuilt contradictions that prevailed in our society. Though we are no longer under the bondage of foreign rule, but we are still under the spell and under the clutches and bondage of unwanted elements in our society. India is a land of the youth today. Majority of the population are youth, but the youth need guidance and inspiration, as was shown in history by our nationalist leaders during the colonial rule. During the colonial rule, the nationalist leaders inspired, led from the front, guided the youth, the women, the children, the tribals, different sections of the society, the downtrodden, etc., towards their fight for freedom. Today, youth, women, all sections of society need guidance. Poverty is another very, very serious setback that had a negative, that always occupied a very, very negative chapter in India's growth story. In India's growth story, poverty occupied a very, very negative place, a negative position. And poverty and corruption were more or less synonyms in our country. This culture has to quit from India. Health issues are another very, very important, most challenging issue in contemporary new India. This needs to be addressed immediately. State of the health infrastructure, state of the art health infrastructure is the need of the hour, because large number of youth in India are dying because of various unwanted diseases. Nowadays, many lifestyle diseases are becoming very prone. Young youth before attaining the age of 40s are infected by a lot of diseases, lifestyle diseases. Very, very unfortunate. The most dynamic and talented persons in India are from India. For example, engineers, doctors, scientists, and mine, and the most wonderful minds are from India. So mechanism is required or should be in place to retain them. So many Indians are moving away from our country. So this needs to be stopped immediately. We also need to quit emphasis on lopsided development and start emphasis on doing away with regional imbalances. India is a very huge, very vast country, but there is definitely huge regional imbalances. If you look from north to south, east to west, there is a very, very huge imbalance. When there is a Only when there is a balanced growth from east to the west, north to the south, then India's liberation would be fulfilled. We also need to quit, you know, uncontrolled environmental and ecological disturbances that we indulged. All of us in our own capacity are indulging in uncontrolled, you know, disturbances of ecology and environment. Uncontrolled degradation is a serious matter, compounding and worsening global environment and ecological health. Finally, we also need to cleanse our inner health by quitting, you know, our all our social, our, you know, we have to cleanse our inner being, our inner health, our political, cultural, economic, and social ills has to be removed. India, in order to establish itself as a global player, as it has always been from ancient times, we need to reinvent ourselves to the extent of sacrificing our everything for the larger interests of the nation. We need to quit many things in our life in order to make the country vibrant, powerful, make India a vibrant nation among nations of the world. With these few words, I would wind up my talk on reinventing Quit India movement. I am extremely, once again, thankful to the chairperson for inviting me, a very humble person like me. A whole lot of other resource persons are there, other people are there, but he's kind enough to call me. I'm very much thankful to him. But I once again reiterate, because of my eye problem, I could not, come out with a PPT or something. Simply a direct talk I made. And also, I am very much thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for gracing this occasion, this program, and all my colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Robin. It was extremely enlightening speech by you, and you have overcome the challenges arising out of your eye surgery. On behalf of the team, Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat of our own Mizoram University and partner university, Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Motiari, Bihar, I express my thankfulness to you. And now I would like to request the next speaker from Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Motiari, Bihar, a young, energetic faculty of Gandhian and Peace Studies, Dr. Ambikesh Kumar Tripathi. So, Dr. Tripathi, welcome to the meeting. So now it's your turn, and let me inform my friends, Dr. Tripathi has braved his entire activity there. They have a very important visitor, the Chancellor, but because of his commitment to this program, commitment to Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat, he has joined. So I am also thankful to him. So, Dr. Tripathi, you now speak for a few minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm audible. Okay. Uh, I'm very thankful to the our own university coordinator of Bharat Shreshtha Bharat and our peer universities, Mizoram University. Now I'm thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University who is gracing this entire webinar. I'm thankful to all people who are gathered here to listen. Actually, I'm very young to speak on these issues. It is very difficult to speak in front of you people. Firstly, I would like to say, Professor Robin I listened the last part of his lecture. I think I just listened from almost 10 to 15 minutes to him. But what I found that he he elaborate entire Quit India movement extensively. There is nothing left to speak. So he made my job a cake work. So there is very few things I would like to share with you since I have very few time. Uh, Actually, if we talk about the now, I'm starting my talk in formal way. When we talk about the Quit India movement, it was a of if I want if want someone try to define this movement quote unquote, this movement was specifically against the colonial rule. So there is a we right now in 21st century India, we are not a colonial state. So as an as an phenomenon, as an phenomenon, uh, I don't find any relevance of reinventing this movement because we have we have no anyone people to say "Ki quit the country." In fact, our own central government, our many state governments do not say to quit even insurgents to quit the country. There are so many insurgencies across in central India and northeast India, but our union government doesn't say quit the country. They said that they are people who forget the actual path of democratization, democratic process. That's why we will try to negotiate and bring them in a democratic path. So there is no rule, there is no alien rule, there is no colonial rule, there is no any formal political structure for which we have to say quit. But it does not matter. It doesn't mean that this entire movement has no essence. In structure, we have in terms of coloniality, we have no relevance, but in the essence of this movement, the lesson what this movement may teach us in making the new India, what the term basically used by our Honorable Prime Minister to create a new India by 2022. So the essence and when I went through some research papers and article, some media writings, I found that so many times our Prime Minister had tweeted on this August campaign, on this Quit India movement. He tweeted so many times on this issue. So there is something, there is something, there is some important essential character of this movement that can have enough potential to energize we modern Indians, we in modern Indian peoples. We will come back on this issue later, part of my talk. But first, I would like to quote something. Since Professor Robin has already told so many historical events, so I don't want to go in these things, but I would like to quote a statement by the Lohia. Lohia was one of the most important figure that time in this movement. Uh, on 25th anniversary of Quit India movement, he wrote, and he was actually politically very much correct when he was he was penned down these words, and he said the 9th August was and will remain a people's movement. Actually, it was people's movement. When the Gandhi entered in the Indian national movement, he made this the character of this entire movement very inclusive. Earlier it was exclusive. Some British educated people were leading this movement for their sake, for sake of their own purposes. But the entry of Gandhi had changed the discourse, and Gandhi made this entire movement inclusive movement. And as Professor Robin quote the Gandhi's word, कि if the people went violent, I will not drift away. It's the same Gandhi who drifted away in 1992 when to 20 years back when he was he has launched a non-cooperation movement, and a Chauri Chora Kand has taken place, and he rolled back entire non-cooperation movement. The same Gandhi, after 20 years, he realized that I think it was a great time for Gandhi who correct himself, who rectify himself what he has done earlier. I'm not criticizing Gandhi. I'm not saying that Gandhi was that time right, that time wrong. It's not my. It's up to you. You can analyze. But it's my perception that the same Gandhi, why the same Gandhi deviated from his whole idea of non-violence, while the Quit India movement has become a violent movement in urban, in especially rural centers. So there where something is going on. Gandhi was realized that it actually turns into the people's movement. Actually turns into the people's movement. A people's movement for the liberation from the alien rules. So there were slightly uncontrolled positions created by the Indian mass. So looking on these characters, looking on these issues, Lohiya penned down on 25th anniversary of Quit India movement that the 9th August was and will remain the people's movement and the people's event. Again, he writes, 15th August was a state event. Actually, very few people knows that our training is going on. We are trained in this kind of situation that the 15th August is our Freedom Day, Independence Day. But the scholars who think about, who can analyze the whole national movement, so they can find that the Quit India movement has changed the discourse. The Quit India movement has given the relation to the colonial rule that it is impossible to govern Indians without their own wills. So this movement has changed the phenomena. This movement has changed the discourse, and Britishers are allowed to give the freedom, allowed to free the India after the Second World War, and it happened. There were so many regions. One region might be the slowdown in economy, fall down in the British economy, but we should not forget that India was not merely ruling by the Britishers. India was ruling for the sake of, for the well-being of the Britishers, for huge economic exploitation. So after the Second World War, India can be a very good instrument to boost up their economic system, because still India is rich in mineral sources and so many things. But what the reason? Economic slowdown, economic fall of after Second World War is not sufficient cause to Britishers to leave the country. So the Quit India movement has shown the mirror to the Britishers that Indian can do anything. it is very difficult after 1957 after 1857. It was the second biggest mass movement taken place which gave the nation. So 15th August is a state event, a state event that celebrated by the Indian people. But the day of state event uh, came our life only because of the Quit India movement of 9th August. Uh, he write Lohia put that 19th August of 1942 expressed the will of the people. We want to be free and we shall be free. For the first timer, after a long period of our history, crores of the people expressed their desire to be free. Anyhow, this is the 25th anniversary of 9th August 1942. It should be celebrated well. Its 15th anniversary perhaps will be celebrated. I am quoting the Lohia's statement. Its 15th anniversary perhaps will be celebrated in much a way that 15th August will be forgotten and even 26th of January will be put into the shed. It was the great faith of Lohia that the government, the society, the people will be successfully deliver the message to the people, to the Indian citizen, that the 9th August has so many importance in our freedom struggle. And I'm again going back to the character of the movement. This movement has bring the entire people beyond their caste and religion to fight against the colonial rule. Again, colonial and imperial rule. And the paradox, what the dreams for 15th anniversary of Quit India movement has seen by Lohia was not taken place, unfortunately, because the 15th anniversary of the Quit India movement was taken place in 1992. And the paradox is, once upon a time, the Quit India movement was launched against the colonist imperialist rule, and the people of the country, beyond their caste, creed, and religion, participated. And the 15th anniversary, at the time of the 15th anniversary of this movement, India witnessed liberalization, open market economic policy, liberalization. We have to start neo-colonial process in other way, and demolish of a masjid, and this create a unnecessary communal tension in the society. So the essence of the core essence of the movement somehow wither away at its the 15th anniversary. Now we are celebrating the 18th anniversary today. We are gathered here to celebrate the 18th anniversary of the Quit India movement. In the light of the core essence of the movement, what kind of message, what the relevance of this Quit India movement has, what the relation we can draw from this movement, and how and these lessons can shape the new India by 2022, at the dreams of our Prime Minister, will be a big issue, big challenge. So since there is no political challenge, there is no political issue, there is no politically alien rule to quit this country, but there are so many challenges inbuilt in our already inbuilt in our structure that has to be removed, and the Quit India movement that the essence of Quit India can provide the strong antidote to eradicate these evils. And these evils already Professor Robin has pointed out, but I again pointed out the one is poverty. We are living in 21st century. India has an ample amount of population living in the abject poverty. We have to eradicate. Government should work, society should work, people should work towards eradicate poverty, so that the can poverty quit this country, poverty quit this society. That the cleanliness is the one of the most important part of emphasis, which emphasized by the Gandhi. Everywhere elsewhere Gandhi went, before discussing the core issues of the problem, of the challenge with the people, he discussed about the sanitation, he discussed about the cleanings, he discussed about the dirt. So we should emphasis to clean our society, to clean our not territories, but also to clean our heart and minds. So we can try to quit the dirts from the society, from the individual, and from the society, from the community, and ultimately from the nation. Corruption, no doubt, as Professor Robin said, it's synonymous of poverty. Corruption is the reason of so many challenges, so many problems of our country. So it should be casteism, communalism, that should be quit this country. We should free from poverty, we should free from dirt, we should free from corruption, we should free from terrorism, we should free from casteism, we should free from communalism. And only we can save the new India of the vision of our great nationalist leaders. India which is in the dream of our last nation, father of nation. And keeping these things in mind, at the 8th anniversary of this Quit India movement, our Prime Minister coined a slogan, "Karenge aur karke rahenge," shall do and will do. We can translate this: if we will do till the goal achieved. So this is the lesson can Quit India movement gave us. We can follow this path of work. We can follow the essence of Quit India movement. What we can. India has a very pluralistic society, multicultural society, multi-religious society, multilingual society. So we have to live in an inclusive manner, not in the pockets that will lead another separation of the society, another separation of the country. So the Quit India movement, the essence of Quit India movement, the lesson of the Quit India movement we can learn from. We have to create an inclusive society where we can work for the nation by working for the country, shoulder to shoulder, to create a society where there is no exclusiveness, there is no hierarchical social order, there is no the last man of Gandhi, the tears could be wept out from the last man of the Gandhi. With these few words, I again thankful to the people, to the Mizoram University people, to the friends who from my university who joined this entire program, and I'm really very much sorry I could not give much time, and I also apologize for those words which which might hurts you, which was not good enough to speak on a academic platform. Since I'm very younger to speak on this august gathering of the great scholars of
Okay,
the.
okay, okay.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Dr.
much.
Tripathi. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Now, uh, it is an honor to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor Mizoram University Professor K.R. Sambashiv Garu. Sir, uh, please speak a few words of encouragement to the audience. Sir.
The today's speakers, Professor Robin and Professor Tripathi. It was a wonderful knowledge gaining for me to know about the Quit India movement and how it has been fought by Indians and during the British rule, and how this date has been remembered forever. As rightly mentioned, that it is the date India is always remembering, August 8, 1942, and Mahatma Gandhi has given a slogan that Bharat Chodo, and he initiated the Quit India movement. It was really wonderful time that India has really showed its disobedience and has decided to have a do or die movement with the request for immediate withdrawal of British people from India. And every year India is celebrating this historic day as a tribute to the freedom fighters of India, and particularly this year is Azadi Mahotsav, and it was a great celebration by both the universities, Mahatma Gandhi University and Mizoram University, and it is a tribute to the people who sacrificed their lives during the freedom struggle. And I'm very happy that both the speakers has enlightened us with a approach for people, motivating the people and students, how the freedom struggle and how patriotism has been need to be among the people, and how it has been to be motivated, and everyone gets a feeling that they should also participate in this freedom fight. And it was really, I'm very happy and for organizing this uh, a particular talk on people, how it is actually Quit India movement has been initiated, how the motivation has to be created. As Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has rightly pointed out, paid tribute to the people who freedom fighters during Quit India movement, and he also tributes the great who took part in the Quit India movement, which played a crucial role in strengthening the fight against colonization. And inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, the spirit of Quit India movement has energized the whole country and the whole youth of the nation, and the independence has resulted for our country. And it was the 79th anniversary of the Quit India movement. Am I correct or not? I don't know. 79th anniversary of Quit India movement. The spirit of this movement it should be revamped and also motivated throughout the country among the people, and the patriotism has to be cultivated in the minds of the people, and young people who are not really aware of this independence struggle need to be energized by our nation. This is what actually Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has uh, made a point in his recent speech. So we all tribute to the great people who took part in Quit India and freedom struggle, and which has played a crucial role in Independence Day struggle. And eventually, the British rulers has quit India, and the independence of our country has resulted. So I am also motivated by the speakers, Professor Robin and Professor Tripathi, and I congratulate both of them for making an inspiring speech, and also for coordinating the whole team Mr. Pathi and all other audience for making this function a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, on behalf of both the Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat teams of Mizoram University and Mahatma Gandhi Central University, it is a privilege on my part to propose hearty vote of thanks to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K.R. Sambashiv as today's chief guest, Professor K. Robin as one of the guest speakers, Dr. Ambikesh Kumar Tripathi, another guest speaker, my esteemed colleagues in both the universities, participants outside the university system, the ICT team members, particularly Mr. Suraj of Mizoram University, and all the people who contributed to the success of this webinar. So today, the major takeaway from this webinar is that the spirit of Quit India movement continues, and we are inspired by the sacrifices of the freedom fighters, the people, known, unknown, and many of the unsung heroes who laid down their lives for the cause of the country. So today's message is, let us reinvent, rededicate ourselves for the cause of new India, and all the ills of our country should quit our country, and India of the future should be one of the most prosperous nations in the international community. With these few words, I say Namaskar, thank you, Jai Hind.